They say your life can change in an instant. For me, that instant was the sound of my own bedroom door swinging open. I thought I was just coming home sick from work, but what I walked in on wasn't just my girlfriend in our bed with someone else. It was the beginning of the end. In the 30 seconds of pure, blind rage that followed, I didn't just beat a stranger unconscious. I beat my entire future to a pulp. My day had started with a throbbing headache, a dull, persistent pain that made focusing at work impossible. I decided to call it quits around lunchtime, a decision that would ultimately detonate my entire existence. I've been with my girlfriend, who is 26, for 3 years. We shared a cozy two-bedroom apartment that felt like our sanctuary, a world we built together. The thought of getting home to that comfort was the only thing pushing me forward. But the sanctuary was about to become a war zone. I walked into the apartment, the silence feeling off. When I pushed open our bedroom door, the scene that unfolded before me shattered my reality into a million pieces. There was my girlfriend, entangled with a boy who couldn't have been older than 19, in the bed we shared. They were in the middle of the act, and the image is now permanently seared into my brain. The world stopped for a moment. They froze, their eyes wide with panic. She scrambled off him, a frantic mess of limbs and excuses, while he just lay there, a half-naked statue of shock. My own shock held me paralyzed for what felt like an eternity. Then she started talking, her voice a desperate whisper. "Wait, it's not what it seems. It's just a physical thing. It doesn't mean anything." That was the spark. The idea that this profound betrayal could be dismissed as meaningless snapped me out of my stupor. A volcanic rage I never knew I possessed erupted from deep within me. The next moments are a chaotic, violent blur. I don't recall a clear sequence of events, just a tidal wave of fury. I lunged at the kid, my fist connecting with his face. I'm not a small man, and my anger gave me a terrifying strength. He tumbled off the bed, and I vaguely remember my girlfriend screaming, grabbing at my arm as I shoved her aside. The young man tried to get to his feet, likely to escape, but I was on him in a second, tackling him to the ground. I just kept hitting him over and over again, long after he stopped trying to defend himself. He just curled into a ball on the floor, a whimpering mess. I only stopped when I became aware that he was limp, practically unconscious, and covered in blood. The realization of what I had just done hit me like a freight train. I had beaten him unconscious. The aftermath was surreal. My girlfriend was hysterical, her screams and sobs filling the room. I stood there, panting, my knuckles raw and bloody, looking down at the broken college kid on our carpet. A single thought echoed in my mind. My God, what have I done? Before I could process it further, the police were at our door. Our downstairs neighbor, having heard the violent commotion, had dialed 911. The officers burst in, immediately separating me from the kid. I'd already stopped hitting him, but I suppose I was still standing over him, radiating rage. They slammed me against the wall, the cold metal of the handcuffs clicking shut around my wrists. I was arrested on the spot. I didn't resist. The fight had drained out of me, replaced by a cold, hollow shock. I was processing a double trauma, the infidelity and the fact that I had completely lost control and brutalized someone. As they led me out of my own home in handcuffs, paramedics were rushing in to attend to the kid. My girlfriend, the woman I loved, was now screaming at me, calling me a psycho, a violent monster. That was the last thing I heard before the apartment door closed behind me. I spent the next 2 nights in a jail cell. It's a phrase I never imagined would apply to my life. 2 nights in jail. But there I was, surrounded by strangers, replaying the catastrophic events of that afternoon on a loop, trying to comprehend how my entire world had imploded. The official charge leveled against me is aggravated assault with significant bodily harm. The kid I attacked suffered a concussion and a deep gash on his head that required stitches. Apparently, during the tackle, his head had struck the nightstand. The injuries were serious. After 2 miserable nights in that holding cell, my dad bailed me out. The look on his face was a mixture of fury and crushing disappointment I had never seen before. The car ride home from a jail was shrouded in a heavy, suffocating silence. It was one of the lowest points of my life. Now, out on bail, the full weight of my new reality is crashing down on me. I'm facing felony charges. My newly hired criminal defense attorney says that a conviction could mean 2 to 5 years in prison. Prison, all because I lost my temper for less than a minute. The law doesn't care that I was provoked. My girlfriend's cheating isn't a legal defense. I was the aggressor, attacking an unarmed person. There's no claim of self-defense. I just snapped, and now I'm facing the ruinous consequences. To make matters worse, my now ex-girlfriend has been utterly devoid of empathy. She's been staying at her sister's place since it happened. I called her once after I was released, desperate for some kind of explanation. It was a disaster. She immediately launched into a tirade, calling me a violent maniac and saying I was lucky I hadn't killed him. She kept repeating her infuriating line. It was just physical. It didn't mean anything. That phrase echoes in my mind. For her, screwing a teenager in our bed was a trivial act. For me, it was the demolition of everything I held dear. I loved her, I trusted her, and she incinerated our life together for a meaningless fling. I told her to never come back, and she retorted that I needed therapy before hanging up. And just like that, 3 years were over, ending in the ugliest way imaginable. She has shown zero remorse for her betrayal. Her only anger is directed at me for my violent reaction. In her version of events, I am the sole villain. And while I can't deny my culpability in the assault, she has completely erased her role in causing it. As if that wasn't enough, the kid's parents are justifiably livid. They're threatening a civil lawsuit. My lawyer informed me that they intend to sue for medical bills, emotional distress, and whatever else they can think of. Ruining my life with a criminal case isn't enough. They want to ensure I'm financially destroyed as well. I don't have much money to begin with. I understand their anger. If someone did that to my son, I'd want retribution too. It's just another crushing weight on my shoulders. This entire disaster has also torpedoed my career. News of my arrest appeared in the local crime blotter, and in a small community, that kind of information spreads like wildfire. My boss found out immediately. I received a call from HR placing me on unpaid administrative leave pending an investigation, which is corporate speak for you're fired. I worked in a field where a clean record and sound judgment are paramount. It's hard to be seen as reliable when you're in the news for a violent assault. So, I'm just waiting for the official termination. Even if I miraculously avoid prison, this charge will haunt my employment prospects for years. Who wants to hire someone with a history of violent outbursts? The fallout continues at home. The apartment management sent me a notice, citing the police incident as a lease violation. They've made it clear I won't be welcome to renew, and any further disturbances will lead to an immediate eviction. I'm facing the possibility of being forced to move, but I don't have the money to break my lease or find a new place. The neighbors saw me being hauled away in handcuffs. The friendly hallway greetings are a thing of the past. To summarize, I found the woman I loved cheating. I snapped and committed a violent assault, and now my life is in freefall. I face prison time and a permanent criminal record. I'm about to be jobless. My ex is painting me as a monster while taking no responsibility. The victim's family is planning to sue me into oblivion. My own family is ashamed of me. My mother cried on the phone, saying, "This isn't the son I raised." My dad can barely look at me. I'm likely to be kicked out of my apartment. And underneath it all, I'm still grappling with the raw pain and humiliation of the betrayal. I feel utterly lost, a swirling vortex of anger, heartbreak, and terror. I know I brought the violence upon myself, but I never imagined my life could be so thoroughly dismantled in a single afternoon. I keep cycling between, how could she do this? And how could I have screwed up so badly? I'm drowning, and I don't know how to get back to the surface. First off, thank you to everyone who took the time to comment. I read many of your responses, and they provided a spectrum of perspectives. My ex-girlfriend is still with her sister and has made it clear she wants no contact. I made the mistake of calling her once more, driven by a need for answers, and was met with a torrent of abuse. She called me a violent effing monster and claimed to be terrified of me. She has completely reframed the narrative to position herself as the sole victim of an abusive man, conveniently omitting the fact that her infidelity was the catalyst. The bridge between us is now a pile of ashes. Any love I had for her has been replaced by a burning rage and disgust at her complete lack of accountability. According to my lawyer, who obtained the hospital reports, the 19-year-old's injuries were significant. He required 12 stitches for a gash near his eyebrow and suffered a serious concussion. I knocked him out cold. I feel a profound sense of sickness knowing I was capable of such violence. I've never been in a real fight before. The image of the blood on the floor haunts my nights. He was just a kid, technically an adult, but barely. He didn't deserve that, no matter how betrayed I felt. I genuinely hope he makes a full recovery. His parents, as expected, have hired a civil attorney. I received a formal demand letter. Pay for all medical expenses plus an additional sum for pain and suffering or face a lawsuit. A civil trial is the last thing I need. My lawyer is attempting to negotiate a settlement. The medical bills alone are already around $8,000 and climbing. I don't have that kind of money, especially with no income. On the criminal front, I'm still out on bail. At my initial hearing, I pleaded not guilty as a procedural step. My lawyer has been brutally honest. If I'm convicted of felony assault at trial, I'm facing a multi-year prison sentence, likely 2 years as a first-time offender. The DA might offer a plea deal, but none has materialized yet. I'm so beaten down that I'd probably accept any offer that keeps me out of jail, even if it means a misdemeanor conviction. For now, it's a torturous waiting game. As predicted, I was officially fired. The call from my former boss was cold and scripted, citing my arrest and a morality clause in my contract. 5 years with that company gone. My financial situation is now dire. After paying bail and my lawyer's retainer, my savings are nearly depleted. I may have to move back in with my parents. My landlord continues to look for a reason to evict me. I received a formal warning about illegal activity on the premises, creating a paper trail for my eventual removal. The most soul-crushing discovery came from my ex's laptop, which she left behind in her haste. It was unlocked. In a moment of weakness, I looked through it and found that the infidelity wasn't a one-time mistake. She had been cheating on me for months with at least 2 different men. Her emails and messages revealed a long-standing affair with a college kid, complete with flirtatious chats and explicit photos. There was another man, an old friend from work, with whom she'd also had a fling. She had been lying to me for a significant part of the last year, making excuses about girls' nights while she was out with other men. She even joked with a friend about how clueless I was. Reading those messages felt like a second, deeper betrayal. I had been nothing but faithful. A message to her friend hit me the hardest. I do love him in my own way, but I'm not in love, and a girl's got needs. LOL. She was using me for stability while seeking excitement elsewhere. I stupidly texted her, confronting her with what I found. Her response was chilling. You have some nerve trying to play victim after what you did. Lose my number, psycho. She has weaponized my violent act to absolve herself of all wrongdoing. So, that's my current situation. A dumpster fire. I'm out on bail, facing a life-altering trial, on the brink of bankruptcy, jobless, and soon to be homeless. Many of my friends have distanced themselves, and the woman I loved was a stranger who betrayed me repeatedly. The weight of it all is immense. I called a crisis hotline one night just to have someone to talk to. It helped. I'm looking into therapy, trying to find a low-cost option now that I'm uninsured. My only goals are to stay out of prison, avoid financial ruin, and just get through each day. The rage has mostly been replaced by a pervasive fear and depression, but I'm fighting to hold on. A few weeks have passed. The district attorney's office finally offered a plea deal. They're willing to reduce the charge from felony aggravated assault to a misdemeanor assault. The sentence would be 18 months of probation, mandatory anger management classes, and community service. No jail time. My lawyer reviewed it with me. It's a merciful offer, considering the severity of the injuries. He thinks we could potentially negotiate for less probation time, but he also stressed that this deal removes the terrifying risk of a felony conviction in prison. I'm going to take it. The relief of knowing this legal nightmare might soon have an end is indescribable. On the civil side, After some intense negotiation between our lawyers, we've reached a settlement. I've agreed to pay $5,000 to cover the kid's medical bills and other damages. In return, his family will not pursue a lawsuit. They initially wanted much more, but my lawyer successfully argued that I'm broke. My brother, who has since forgiven me, loaned me $2,000. My parents are helping with the rest. I hate taking their money, but I have no choice. I'll pay it in installments over 6 months. My ex came by to collect the last of her belongings. She brought her brother and sister for support. As she was leaving, I calmly said, "I hope it was worth it." It was like lighting a fuse. She exploded, screaming that she never truly loved me, that I was just a comfortable convenience. She admitted to using me for financial security while sleeping with others because I wasn't fulfilling. Her own sister looked shocked at her cruelty. She called me boring and said our relationship had been dead to her for over a year. As she walked out, she sneered, "Enjoy probation, you psycho." Her brother mumbled an apology on his way out. After they left, I completely broke down. I punched a wall, the sharp pain a welcome distraction, and then I just sobbed. It was the first time I cried through this whole ordeal, a complete release of all the pent-up anger, stress, and betrayal. The woman I thought I knew is gone. I'm still unemployed, and now I'll have a misdemeanor conviction, which won't help my job search. A friend who does home renovations has offered me some cash gigs, which I'll take. I've decided to move out of the apartment when the lease is up in 2 months. I'll be moving back in with my parents. It's humiliating at 28, but I can't afford to live alone, and this place is haunted by bad memories. If everything goes as planned, I'll soon plead guilty to misdemeanor assault and begin my 18 months of probation. Emotionally, I'm taking it day by day. A couple of true friends have stuck by me, and their support has been a lifeline. My reputation in town is ruined, but with the legal battle ending, I'm hopeful I can start to rebuild. I am facing the consequences of my actions. As for my ex, I heard a rumor that the other man she was seeing, who was married, went back to his wife, leaving her high and dry. I also heard she's pregnant. I don't know if it's true, and I don't care, but I'd be lying if I said the thought of her life also being in turmoil didn't bring a grim sense of satisfaction. It's petty, but it's all I have right now. It's now been about 4 months. I officially took the plea deal. In court, I pleaded guilty to misdemeanor assault and was sentenced to 18 months of probation, 100 hours of community service, and a 26-week anger management program. The moment the judge's gavel fell, and I knew I wasn't going to prison, was the most profound relief I have ever felt. Life on probation is structured and humbling. I meet with my probation officer twice a month. He's a decent guy who made it clear that if I follow the rules, I'll get through this. My community service involves working at a food bank and cleaning up local parks. It's honest work, and it feels good to contribute something positive. The anger management classes have been surprisingly helpful. Living with my parents again is an adjustment, but my uncle offered me a job with his construction crew. It's manual labor, demolition, hauling, cleaning, but it's a steady paycheck, and it keeps me busy. He told me, "Keep your head down, work hard, and this will just be a chapter in your life, not the whole story." One of the foremen on the crew did time in his youth and has since built a successful life. Hearing his story gave me tangible proof that people can come back from their worst mistakes. Many of my old friends have disappeared, but my best friend since high school has remained a constant. He recently dragged me to a movie, the first normal, fun thing I've done in months. It felt like a glimpse of my old life. The last I heard of my ex, she did have the baby. The married man apparently wants nothing to do with her or the child, and she's now a single mother living with her parents. My journey forward is about grinding through probation and continuing the work I've started on myself. This has been the hardest lesson of my life, but I'm determined that it won't be the end of my story.